Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the First Fruit Stock Club. Let's go. Man, technical difficulty. I tell you, trying to do a show yourself. Anyway, I love it. Man, the information I put together keeps me on my game, and hopefully it'll help you guys out. So today's topic, um, today's show. Let me first uh, So, today's topic is, do you know the value of a dollar? And really, it should be, do you know the value of your dollar? Okay. So, I want you to have a different perspective and think about the money. Most people, I guess, today's Thursday, and most people will be paid tomorrow. And the first thing we think about, oh, we have to pay bills and order things we could buy, you know, the normal things that we think about. Well, today I'm going to ask you to have a different perspective on your money. I want you to think of your dollar like an operating system, right? Such as like iOS, the operating system that runs Apple, allows all the apps and things run on top of. Okay. So I want you to think of your dollar that way. And built on top of the iOS or your dollar are the apps, which are one, the United States does $27 trillion in GDP. That's goods and services. If you were to look at the United States as a person, its income would be its GDP. All right. $27 trillion. The United States is the wealthiest country in history, right? Built on top of the dollar. That's the first app. The second one is um, that uh, that we also have 50 of the largest brands in the world. Coca-Cola, right? Microsoft. All these different companies are brands. They're 50 of the largest brands in the world. We also have 7 of the 10 most valuable companies in the world built on top of the dollar, the United States dollar, right? And then 90% of foreign forex transactions are done in dollars. Meaning, if you want to transact between countries, it's done in dollars, right? Because we also have the reserve currency. Okay. So when you think about all these things, right, it is expected that you reinvest back into the dollar or the operating system of our country, right? Of our financial system. You have to reinvest back into it. And when you don't reinvest back into this system that created all these wonderful things, and I'm not saying that the country doesn't have its sins, but what we have now, nobody in the world has. So you really have to treat when you earn a dollar, you really have to treat it special, right? You have to treat it with care, and you have to put it back into the system that allowed you to earn that dollar. See, what a lot of times people do is we earn, and then we take the money out of the system and into the consumer system and out of the financial system. And the economy says, okay, I'm gonna punish you for that. I'm gonna punish you with higher taxes. I'm gonna punish you with inflation. I'm gonna punish you with contraction when the economy contracts. So we have to understand that the economy is always capital starved. It's always looking for capital, right? And that's what happens in the economy when the flows of the capital moves from one segment to the other. So if you think that you can just take your dollar and do whatever you want with it, you can't. You have a responsibility by putting it back into the system. You have a responsibility by being an investor and putting it back in the system, and not just for you. Well, I do it for my retirement. No, right? You need to be more involved, all right? And you can create a lifestyle on reinvesting your money into the system. Okay. Yeah, retirement is important, but investing and helping you create a lifestyle. When you reinvest back into the system rewards you, right? You get rewarded, stock gains. And this is a show about stocks. So we'll focus on that. So it's important that you know how valuable this dollar is and how it's perceived around the world. Rather, I know you hear a lot of things, but trust me, people will pay $5 million just for a visa to come here for the same rights that you already have. Right? You have these rights and you just decide to work outside of the ecosystem, the financial ecosystem, and just work in the consumer system just to satisfy short-term needs. Right. And I understand, look, I'm not saying that you have to spend all your money on, investing. We have, you have to have fun. You got to, I have kids. Kids are expensive. I have a wife. A wife is expensive. So, you definitely have to have good times. But for your family's sake, for when the economy decides to change and it says, look, you haven't reinvested enough. So now I'm going to take back everything I gave you. Everything you thought you had, I'm taking it back. And it does it through taxes, inflation, contraction, or recession, if you want to call it that. So you have to prepare and you have to make a decision. And the decision has to be made upfront, has to be made with your first fruits, right? You may have to make a decision to give back to the economy. You have to make a decision to invest back into the economy. You have to make a decision to have personal development and listen to things that help you grow so you can be prepared for the next segment of the economy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about AI and what Amazon. This is something else. So that's it. Reinvest and understand the value of the dollar. It's real important that all these things that you see, look, let me tell you, all these companies that are out here, if the dollar wasn't as strong as it is, they would not been able to build these large $1 trillion companies. Is because the dollar is so strong and so dominant, and we have the reserve currency, and they're just building their apps, which are their companies, on top of the ecosystem, which is the dollar. We are in a very, very good position. Okay. All right. If you have access to the reserve currency, if you can earn the reserve currency after you go to work, right? You get paid tomorrow and you get to earn the reserve currency. A lot of people don't have that around the world. Matter of fact, we make up only 5% of the world's population, but we generate 30% of the world's income or output. So 95% of the people around the world don't have access to what we have access to. 95%. So you really have to think about that. All right. So let's go. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. Welcome to the next thing. So let's see. We had a so look, today is Juneteenth. Man, celebration. So the markets were closed today. So so I just did a week view of the Dow Jones and how we're doing. I mean, even though and it's been a volatile week or 7 days, right? But we still have not crossed that bottom that we think hit on the 14th. Okay. So the Dow has been a little bit more volatile than the other indexes. So S&P 500 once again it hit the bottom on the 14th, um, rocketed up, but it's been very volatile, a very volatile week. But the Nasdaq, interesting. Look at the Nasdaq compared to the other indexes. Nasdaq Composite. It it actually, man, it compared to the other ones, we're definitely near the bottom, near the lows of the 7 days. We're actually in a nice spot, like right in between the high and the lows, like we're building some sort of channel. And if you look at this right here, I should have drew a line. You see the two bottoms, and this is building a support line going up. So that looks good to me. So the Nasdaq may have the next few weeks. Nasdaq may go on a little run here. So if you're a trader, maybe some a good time to put some money to work. Put some money into the ecosystem and let it reward you. All right. So the next segment is called Stock Spotlight, and we're spotlighting Circle. Man, this company just went public. Um, I had in my notes. Beginning of the month. Let's just say that. Just went public, and man, it's up almost 600+%. It's crazy. Um, it hasn't been public for a month. So let me tell you this: the IPO market has been really frozen for the last year or two, but it's beginning to open up. This is how you can tell where the market is going. When usually when the IPO market is not a lot of liquidity in the market, but the IPO market is starting to open up. This is one of a few IPOs that have really performed this year. See, I go back in when the .com era and the crash, man, companies were IPOs were going public, and it was always a big deal. Companies were up 50, 60, 70, 80% in a day. It was crazy, crazy times. But man, we look like times are changing. The market is really thawing out. So, like I believe that AI and and some of the other stimulants are push the market up, and we have a big opportunity here. Circle, man, and also I did get some information on Circle, and one of the reasons why it's going up, people had a large short interest, and what happens is when the stocks go up and you short it, when you have to cover your short, meaning you have to go into the market and buy the stock. So that may be one of the reasons why I was reading an article. That may be one of the reasons why Circle is doing so well as it is. Um, but let's talk about it. So, what is Circle? It was founded in 2013 by Jeremy Allaire and Sean Neville, originally based in Boston, now headquartered in New York. Focus on peer-to-peer payment, stablecoin issuance, primary managing USDC, the world's second largest dollar-backed stablecoin. USDC is fully reserved and collateralized by the US Treasury, securities, and cash equivalent, and with monthly audits by big four accounting firms. So, I mean, Circle is a real deal. I think the only way they make money is off of the interest that they receive from from the Treasury securities. So let's go to the next slide. So let's look at the business model. The core offering is USDC, designed for stable crypto-based transactions across blockchains and payment systems. Provides related services, Euro stablecoin, USYC tokenized fund, the Circle Payments Network, liquidity, infrastructure, and developer APIs. globally regulated, licensed in 46 US states, as well as Singapore, wow, Bermuda, Canada, Japan, and more. Serves clients ranging from institutions to developers, fintech platforms. So, so one of the reasons why Circle has been on a tear is by the Genius Act passed by the Senate June 18th, aims to create federal framework for stablecoins requiring full reserves and monthly disclosures. And on this news, the stock it skyrocketed 30 to 40% on the news. So let's just look at the basis of stablecoins. It's just like when you have a brokerage account, right? When you have a brokerage account and you sell stocks. So when you sell, the shares turn into cash. So therefore, it's usually put into a money market. So what happens is, if you have what's the name of the, hold on a second. You have a Coinbase account, right? I can remember. Coinbase account. And if you buy and sell um, uh, cryptocurrencies in there, but when you sell, you have to the money goes into a bank account, right? Well, now it can go into a stable coin, okay? And this one is regulated, publicly traded, and for something to become publicly traded, there's a whole process for something to reach the public market. That's one of the reasons why it's another thing. The United States has the largest stock market in the world, built on the dollar. And when you sell stocks, they turn into the dollar, right? So, um, so this allows if you're really into cryptocurrencies, allows if you sell now you don't have to use now you have to use a bank account. You can just use a stable coin to keep your funds, and hopefully they should is backed by the treasury, so it'll keep its value, and then you can do another trade or just keep it there and earn interest. So that's the basis of stable coin. I'm not the I don't know everything about cryptocurrencies, but I mean, I basically understand this concept. So, man, let's heard it from the grapevine. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. So the Federal Reserve decided to keep rates steady, and if you've watched me, I've had plenty of discussions about what our president wants. Being a former real estate investor, he wants lower rates, and of course, they decided to um, to keep rates steady. But they did say they're going to have two cuts this year, so we'll see how that works out. But I don't know if it's going to be enough for the president. We'll see. But man, I've started hearing that he may think about replacing the Federal Reserve chair again. So, but it's just talk. I don't think it's going to happen. The main thing is trying to have stable markets. But we'll see. But I think we will get those cuts that everyone's been waiting for. Cut interest rates and the interest cost of things, credit cards, student loans, and the cost of housing. Um, the cost of money is really not really high. I mean, we've had some. If you look at through history, it's nothing. But what happens is we've been so um, used to low rates that anything up to 4 to 5%. Now I think the mortgage rates are like 7% now. It's a big deal, but I can remember that wasn't. But we've had low rates for a very long time, and it's an adjustment. That's why I try to stay debt free, and if I own real estate, um, it's 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 fully amortized, 30-year, and no balloons, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. I know people are saying, "Well, the rate's going to come back." You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Um, so we'll just stay with that. And so the grapevine. Look, I was reading an article on about Amazon is going back to cutting jobs, and they're saying the AI is going to take over a lot of jobs. Man, I just really see a future where AI is everywhere. I was also reading an article where um, this this lady was homeschooling her kid, and she was doing it through AI, and she said, "Well, AI really adapts to his learning and helps her son fill the gaps in." You know, I could see, teachers having an AI assistant in the classroom and to help keep all kids on the same level or get kids, up. I think it will assist there. I can see, of course, AI, in regards to driving and cars, that we already seeing that. Um, I forgot the company, but they're moving to New York and they're trying to have the driverless cars in New York. They already have them in Arizona and a few other places. Um, Man, I mean, definitely with the warehouses and what's going on in AI. I mean, this things are changing, right? And a lot of companies have been discussing cutting employees due to they're going to need less people due to AI. And so we have to prepare, right? We have to prepare. And one way to prepare is to invest. I'm on here every week for free, my time for free, and giving you guys information, some stocks to invest, keeping you aware of the markets, and you know, and of course, there's so much, craziness online, and it's just hard to compete with that. And I look at some of the craziest too. I'm not gonna sit here and like I'm holy. I just only look at investment stuff, but I do spend at least 80 to 90% of my time online looking for investment things. But we have to understand that the times are changing. We don't know what the workforce is going to look like for our kids. You know, Man, I think I was reading another article about Mark Zuckerberg, who the CEO of Facebook. He said, look, he was trying to poach some of the talent, some of the AI talent. He was willing to pay up to $100 million. And I was reading. I don't know if this is true. I don't know, but it was in a credible news source. But that just shows you how important AI is and the future of AI is. So, but investing is always there for us. Look, we don't have to create an AI company. All we have to do is put our money in the companies that's creating the AI. We don't have to create AI chips. All we have to do is put our money that's creating the chips. We don't have to create the next Facebook. All we have to do is invest in Facebook, invest in Microsoft, right? We can invest in these companies. And what happens is when you become an investor, everybody at that company works for you. But when you take your money out of the ecosystem and you consume, when these things come about and you don't have money and reserves, it's a problem for you and your family. So in saying that, man, join the First Fruit Stock Club. Come on, First Fruit Stock Club, man. We meet every week. I'm about to meet the club again, and the next few minutes, I got to hurry up and get off. But we're preparing. Okay, getting the investments ready. I think there's going to be some opportunities in the market coming up. And look, if you want to make cash flow from the market to pay your bills, man, this is the club for you. All right. I meet with you one on one to get you acclimated to the club and show you around the platform on Kajabi. And so, look, man, just join the club. All right. Man, it's always a pleasure. Until next week, right? Guys, be